I'm Uncle Mark. Welcome to the channel. Just gonna do an oil change on an Ecotec 4-cylinder engine. Show you how I'm doing it step by step. Pretty easy. Well, I don't know if easy is the word, but it's doable. How about that? Step by step. So of course, got to go underneath. This is on a Chevy Terrain or GMC Terrain. I've got a jack stand under here already. I've jacked it up. And yeah, you'll want jack stands underneath because you don't want this thing falling off of whatever the jack that was supplied with it. So you'll see here is where the oil drain is on the bottom of the engine and the oil pan. So I am using a wrench here, and this is a 15mm bolt. And the problem with this is somebody has taken this bolt off over its lifetime and kind of stripped it. They've put it first, they put it way too tight, and then my wrench doesn't want to stay on here. So I'm going to use a socket on here. That'll grip it a lot better. And then when I put this back on, I'm going to not put it as tight. So this bolt is worn out. That's for sure. It's not leaking, but it's wore out. Didn't matter what I tried with the wrench. Not going to do it. So I got a 15mm 6-point socket on there, and again, some rough handling, and it comes out. Now, hopefully you had your engine running for a little while here and had it nice and hot. Of course, now the oil's going to be hot coming up, but if it's hot, it'll drain out a lot better than if it's cold. It'll be more like molasses or honey. You don't want that. Of course, the engine's not running now. I'm draining it into an oil pan. It's going to take a few minutes. So while it's draining, and I know it's not going to fall on the floor, I'm going to be doing some other things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get at the oil filter. So at the front of the engine, you'll see where it's situated, right by your dipstick. And not the easiest thing to get at. So I'm going to unplug a couple wires here just so that little cables, they'll give me a little more room to get my hands in here and some tools. So this is our throttle body, I believe, is that one. And this is the fuel pump, the high pressure fuel pump. I'm going to plug that as well. And then with those couple wiring harnesses out of the way, I should be able to get my hands in between here. Just going to set it out of the way so you can see it. So it's down here. There's a special oil filter wrench that you can use to get the top of this off. I'll put a link in the description. This is kind of what it looks like. It's very shallow, and even with that, not the easiest thing to get at. As you can see by me trying to get my hand in here. Sorry for the camera jiggling. It's way in there, and again, you've got all sorts of stuff in the way, but you're gonna have to work around that. So once you get that on there, a person, and I dropped it. And you're probably gonna drop it too. Although, if I had two hands, probably wouldn't have dropped it as I'm holding the camera. But as I mentioned, very limited room. If I can sit it on top of there, and then get a ratchet and maybe a little extension. Now you'll see that there is this silver high pressure, it's a high pressure fuel line. Do not want to try and loosen that or remove it. It's in the way, and it has to stay in the way. You'll see this extension isn't going to work either. Maybe if you had a swivel. This high pressure line, it goes up and around like this. It's a special one-time use line, so if you loosen it, you can't tighten it and not get it to stop dripping. And they're not cheap. I think I paid about 70 bucks Canadian for another one. I had to take it off to do some other work on this vehicle. But I wish I wouldn't have, because I wasted 70 bucks. I didn't really need it off for my other job that I was doing. 70, 75 bucks, something like that. I don't know what that would be American, but so even if it was $40 American, a lot of money. I'm using a stubby here, stubby little ratchet, and even that's just barely getting it in there. I think would have done better, like I said, with a swivel, and then because a U-joint, and then a extension onto this little ratchet. And again, limited room to even move the ratchet. Once you see how it's all working, I'll show you a better view of it. Here's a better view, a better angle. Now I've recorded this previously to show you. I had the intake manifold off, and this gives you a really good view of what's going on. Of course, you're not going to take all that stuff off, do an oil change. But again, it's just for visual effects, so you can see exactly what everything looks like. And in here is the filter. And it looks like it's squashed down a little bit, and that's normal. I don't know why they do that, but so you want to try and pry them apart, rocking it back and forth. I should have gloves on for this, then I wouldn't be getting oil on my hands. I think that oil can cause cancer in California and maybe other places. Gloves would be a very good idea. So once you rock it off there, you'll see that inside the cap here there's another piece that stays inside. So the filter should look the way this one does when you take it off. And again, that little piece, sometimes they snap off and stick on the filter here, and once you throw that out, you're up a creek. So that's what the filter looks like dismantled. We'll put a new one back on that way. So let's work on the top of this housing first. Now there's this O-ring here. Your new filter should have come with a new O-ring. So I'm going to take the old one off. I'm using this sharp little pick tool. Put the new one on. It wouldn't hurt to lube it up maybe before you put it on there. That's the new O-ring. And you'll see where it sits. It sits right there. It doesn't sit all the way down, no. It sits right there. So just remember that when you put it on. If you didn't notice where the old one was. Now if you didn't lube it up before you put it on here, you can take a little bit of clean oil and just rub it around there, just so then when you turn it back on there, it's gonna easily turn. It won't be binding. It'll seal. Put the new filter on. You can see which way it's gonna snap on there. You gotta kind of rock it and it should click on. Something like that. And then put it back in its filter housing. Now you see there's a middle piece that filter has to click into. Centerpiece. And then hand screw it in there. You don't want to try and do this with a tool because you could cross thread it, maybe not have it going in the way it shouldn't. This way, by doing it by feel, you'll be able to tell if it's going in properly or not. Speed that up a little bit. And once you've got it hand tightened, you want to use a little bit of a tool to make it just a teeny bit tighter, just barely snug it up. There is a torque spec for this. You may want to use if you've got a torque wrench. Otherwise, I'm trying, it's so hard to tell you how tight or not tight this is. It's 10 foot-pounds, 124 inch-pounds. There's a couple other different specs, but you can try one of those. And then once you do that, put your wires back on if you disconnected these. The throttle body and the high pressure fuel pump. We're just gonna click that back in. High pressure cable. Click that lock in there, then climb underneath. And no, don't want to forget to put our oil drain plug back in. We're just going to hand tighten it first of all, so I don't strip it. Then I'm going to get my wrench out and we're going to tighten it up. Actually, there is a torque spec, 18 foot-pounds, 216 inch-pounds. Don't want to have it over tightened because we know the problem the other guy had with that. And put 5 liters of 530 oil, the Dexos spec. That's what they recommend. I'm just going to check it and make sure that it does actually say it's full. Dipstick says it's pretty close. I'm going to start it up again, run it for a minute or so. Make sure it's sitting on level ground. Shut it off, let it sit for a minute, check it, and it should be good. Of course, we'll make sure that we don't go over on our oil change intervals because that is not good for this engine. we're done. Well, that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully this helped you step by step to figure out how to do an oil change and if it's worth trying to do on your own vehicle or not. These are a little bit tough to get at that filter, and you want to make sure you're using proper jack stands to have your vehicle jacked up if that's how you're going to get under there. Plus, I wouldn't use the factory jack. I was using actually a floor jack to lift the vehicle as well. So I had a floor jack and I had jack stands under there, so that way it was safe. You can give me the thumbs up if you'd like. That way it helps YouTube know that I did a good job. If you thought I did a good job, don't forget you can subscribe down in the corner as well if you haven't. This way the next time we have a video out, hopefully it's something you'll want to watch and you'll be notified of it. Plus, I have a repair playlist on these types of engines. This was actually in a GMC Terrain. I'll put the big blue circle right there. You see the yellow flashing arrow pointing to the top. It points to a card that you can click on, and that'll bring you to the GMC Terrain and other repairs that we've done to them. Until next time, I'm Unclemarks saying thanks for joining me. Hopefully this was helpful. Bye-bye for now. Please subscribe and you'll get all the notifications. It's easy. The little dog will show you how. Ring the bell. Ring the bell.